Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and welcome back to the channel. I am Brandon, I am the Southern Fried Film Nerd, and today we're going to be talking about a little film called Fear Street Prom Queen, which I just finished watching, and it's fresh and it's new, so this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so don't worry, I'm not going to ruin anything for you, or I'm going to try not to ruin anything for you. Before we get started, though, real quick, let me ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay. Is that okay? Okay, so question number one. You clicked on this video for a reason, right? I'm assuming that you clicked on this video because you're interested in my opinion of Fear Street Prom Queen, yes? Okay, so you're going to give me, I don't know, 10-ish minutes of your time to talk about something that you're already interested in, and clearly I'm interested in, correct? Fucking A. I knew it. You looked like a good viewer from the moment I laid eyes on you. Anyway, I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's go ahead and hop into it. Alright, so a couple of pros. I'll knock those out real quick. First of all, I don't want to say that this is a bad movie. I think it was an okay movie, but I do have a lot more complaints than I do pros. So, real quick. For the most part, the movie does feel like it is a 1980s movie. It's a little too clean and polished to have actually come from that era, but you can tell that the production company and the production team really, they tried. They introduced some grain in there. There's some like kind of film stock, soft focus and such going on. And they spend some time actually, using some actual camcorders and stuff, so there's some actual VHS footage in the film. But you can tell that they were trying, if they don't wholly succeed. And I appreciate the effort. Because if you're not going to try to put the effort in, why the fuck set it in the 80s in the first place, right? And then the next pro that I've got for you is that the soundtrack is pretty solid. It feels pretty authentic to the time that the movie is set in. You've got a lot of Billy Idol. You've got some Tiffany in there. The Eurythmics pop up on the soundtrack. Very new wavy kind of experience, and I appreciate it. It lends itself. It adds that little extra kind of like this is the 80s vibe to the film. And then the kills are pretty gnarly. A lot of good like viscera and some gore and a lot of the sticky stuff in this one. If you're a gore hound, there's plenty here for you to enjoy. And there's a pretty solid amount of kills. There's a pretty decent body count in this movie. So that goes a long way too to making it an enjoyable experience, as odd as that is to say, talking about what we're talking about for a horror lover. And then the last pro that I really have for the movie is Fina Straza. I think I'm saying her name correctly. She plays Tiffany in the movie, and next to Lily Taylor, who is just always amazing, Fina Straza is probably the best actress in the film, the best actor in the film. She does a fantastic job of like channeling that kind of mean girl energy that you're looking for in this kind of story. And a lot of her lines and a lot of her deliveries and the way she portrays her character just felt very solid to me. Every time she was on screen, the movie felt just a little bit more authentic than it did when she wasn't on screen. Alright, so that's it for the positives. We're going to move into negatives now. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the smaller ones and build up to the big problem that I have with the movie. I have a pretty big problem with the movie. So the first big issue that I have with the movie is there's a lot of CGI blood in this movie. Now, in the other Fear Street movies, 94, 78, and 1666, I don't think there was a lot of CGI blood. I don't remember there being a lot of CGI blood. Obviously, there was CGI shenanigans going on with like the tumor under the town and all that stuff. But when it came to like the kills and that sort of thing, it felt like there was a lot more practical effects going on in those. Whereas this one, a lot of the times during the kills, it feels like they just splashed some CGI blood in there to kind of like up the blood ante, and it never looks good. Like, it doesn't have, like, the problem with CGI versus practical effects is, even if you had a bad practical effect, it probably still looks better than a good CGI effect, because it has weight, has volume, it takes up space. So when you get, a splatter of CGI blood across the screen, you're like, oh, some CGI blood. And even though that I said that the kills for the most part are, pretty gnarly, I'm going to keep using that word. It takes me back to the 80s. I do have a problem with at least a couple of the kills in this movie, and it's what I refer to as the Terrifierification of horror, where ever since the Terrifier films came out, people who are making horror movies now think that you need to go further, you need to have more gore, it needs to be more obscene, it needs to be more ridiculous. And I don't think they mean for it to be ridiculous, but it comes across that way. And don't get me wrong, I like the Terrifier movies. I have a lot of fun with them. I like watching Art do his thing. But when I watched the third movie, by the time we got to the third act, I was bored. And the main reason that I was bored was every time he killed somebody in the movie, it took 5 minutes for him to kill them. And the way that he was killing them in the movie, they were dead 30 seconds, a minute into the kill, and he just kept going for 5 minutes. There's a kill, at least one kill in this movie, where they do that, and it got some chuckles out of me. I giggled. It was very funny, but it was completely ridiculous, and it probably should have been over a lot quicker than it was. And that leads me to my big problem with this film. And the only reason I think that I have this big problem with this film is the other three movies exist. If this movie existed in a vacuum without 94, 78, and 1666, then this issue wouldn't exist. But that's not the world we live in. We live in a world where the other Fear Street movies exist. So here's the problem. This movie, and for some people this might be a pro. I'll admit, for some people this might be a pro. This one is a lot leaner and meaner, and kind of like there's not a lot of meat on the bone here. It moves quick. It doesn't have a lot of time for character development and myth and lore and all of that stuff. And I understand there are people out there who don't like those elements, and they prefer their horror to be, fast-paced and gory and violent, and that this movie is those things. But the other three Fear Street movies, they were all like connected by this single narrative through line, and they all three spent a lot of time like developing their characters, setting up their premise, making you relate to this character, feel for that character, hate this character, and all that stuff. And in Prom Queen, not so much. I was hoping for, a new Fear Street movie come out. I was hoping for like more deep diving into the dark ritual and all that stuff that was introduced in the other three movies. But this movie doesn't really care about that. It's not concerned. It's still set in the same world. All that stuff is still relevant in the movie. It's just, it's not interested in that. It's interested in gory kill, gory kill, gory kill, gory kill, crazy shenanigans. And, like I said, for some people, that may be a positive. For me, it's a negative. I like to know the characters. I like to feel for the characters, relate to the characters. When a character is walking down a dark hallway where there is a killer, I want to be afraid for them. I want to be concerned if they're going to, survive the movie and stuff. And in this movie, at least for me, I didn't really feel like I got to know the characters that way. And it kind of detracted from the overall experience for me. Now, like I said, if the other three movies didn't exist, that wouldn't be an issue. And that's pretty much it for this review for me. I don't think the movie was a bad movie. I don't feel in any way, shape, or form that I wasted my time watching it. I would probably watch it again. Throw some popcorn in, kick back, veg out on the couch for 90 minutes and just watch a decent little slasher film. I'm going to give it, 2.5 stars out of 5. Like I said, I didn't feel like I wasted my time. It's pretty average. If you dropped the Fear Street off of it and it lived in a vacuum alone without the other 3 movies, I would probably give it a 3.5. It's a pretty decent little slasher movie, but especially when propped up against those other 3 movies, it just doesn't hold the kind of water that they do. Not for me, anyway. And that's going to be it. That's everything I got to say about Fear Street Prom Queen. If you all would like me to do a spoiler review where I really get into the nitty-gritty about things that I've liked and disliked about the movie with specific examples, I can do that. Just let me know in the comments down below. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. But before I do that, if you could do me a favor, if you could like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I mean, you look like the kind of person who's going to do that anyway, but I figured I would just throw a little reminder out because it would really help me a whole lot. So, subscribey, likey, dingy, dingy. Thank you so much. And until I see you again, remember, always go forth and be good fucking human.